fly. I was trying to like work border in there.
There you go.
Roses are red. We'll go into border. So buckle up. I can't think of a really good end for border.
You've got to get the rhyme for border.
That's the problem.
I can come up with his order, and that's, that's just knocking one letter off.
There's got to be another word like that sounds like order at the end.
I'll let you think on it. As our operator bans come in, Flores is going to be the first one taken out. Ying has been a consistent ban throughout for Astralis, I think. Just a very powerful operator to try and get executes down behind. The Flores with the Rotero drones, particularly interesting as well. Just going to prevent a little bit of utility clearance there. Valkyrie, and I would imagine our last will be one of Solis or Azami, possibly. Maybe a mirror. We've seen quite a bit of mirror play so far, so that could also factor in. But no, it will be Solis.
Solis I like to see banned out. We've seen it an awful lot. Astralis have played it quite a bit throughout this competition. I just think it's a smart one to take off the table for Lost One. And on the other side of that, well, we spoke a little bit about the mirror impact that we've seen. It's still going to remain an option across these rounds. And I love the Ying ban. We spoke about it a lot for this map. We saw, which NA team was it earlier on making good use of it? I want to say it was DZ, but I have a feeling that's completely wrong. There was definitely an NA team that made use of it either way. Let's get into things. Lost One. Maya on the dock. Some of you may look at and just go, okay, that's a bit of a different one. Absolutely. I've seen 2 maps that Maya has played this on so far, Villa and Border. And on Border, it is played basically every single round by him. I think the fact that you have now the 200 HP stim buff coming through, you haven't got to chunk 2 or 3 of them into one player to get them back to full HP, it just means that you can make good use of it to use it where it's really required. Interestingly, always paired up alongside Lobin when he plays on the Oryx. Never using one of those pellets to take him back up to full HP after he's ran through a couple of walls, more normally reserved for a little bit later in the round. So keep a close eye when Lobin gets into a firefight if Maya is nearby to juice him back up again.
Here we go then. This is it. There's map 3, round 1, Astralis versus Lost One. The winner will move on through the lower bracket and play tomorrow. The loser goes home. It is literally that simple. This map will decide it all. They've both had their moments. I feel like Lost One still have a little bit of an edge here. They do in terms of round count, and they've just had those big performances from Maya and Lobin. But there have been moments of excitement that have impressed me from Astralis. A lot of flanking, you know, a lot of good defense, but they're going to have to start us off with a good attack on border.
Oh, Lobin is trying to get himself away here because Forest was on the hunt. I don't think he had any clue that Forest was actually coming in through supply, but wasn't too far away to trying to catch him out, but he's already got far, far away and back up towards the rest of his team upstairs.
Forest working through, going to meet up with his teammates on the bottom floor. I think they're comfortable now that is clear, all done and dusted, so they can start focusing on towards site. Just looking to potentially nade up here now then.
Hatches in this game have been scrappy.
Certainly have. Forest dips back away from that challenge for a second, but so does Lost One.
That Doc's kind of backed away on that. Mirror window also taken out for free from the below. Initial challenge would have helped them to resist that, but you just can't. When you hear the pull of that pin of the grenade, you have to be backing away. And sure enough, that's exactly what they do. Still 3 more nades left in back pocket, mind you. But it feels like Lost One have kind of danced around a little bit of the movement coming here out from Astralis, but not really looked to challenge them yet in a firefight. We're halfway into the round, and it feels weird that on Border of all maps, halfway in, we haven't seen a firefight come out.
Maya taking a few pot shots at Gadgetry. There, spins beautifully and finds the head of Spiff, and on the dot can just juice himself back up and get ready to go again. What a play from Maya to keep hold of CCTV. Right steps out, manages to get one onto Forest. There is a quick trade. Shuttle finding Lobin. 4 versus 3 though, still in the advantage of Lost One, and they have a number of key areas around the map in their control.
And again, it's a cute little bit of team play. Like as soon as Maya gets threatened on the window, you've got Lobin looking to cover out towards waiting it or towards break area as well. There's always a little bit of support working out between those 2 players. Down goes one as J90 finds Rise into a 3 versus 3. We've got 40 seconds still to play, and Maya is under threat here as well. Is he aware that a player has got inside? I'm not sure that he does, but it's being pressed in from both sides. Can do nothing about it. Shut down as Dash here is all that is left standing for the side of Lost One.
Always a risk for Maya to try and juice himself up with the stim pistol there, and it didn't pay dividends. Wasn't ready for the fight. Dash moves across, isn't aware, doesn't find the man as J90 J9O steps out in archives, puts him down and closes out the first round for Astralis. Good attack from the NA side.
Massive round for J9O as well. Pretty sure he closed out with a 3K there at the end of things, just taking names down from Lost One as he marched his way through the map. That was exactly how things started for Lost One back on Skyscraper, if you remember. Started out really powerfully, while Astralis have just done the same back onto them. Is that a telling sign for what's to come throughout the rest of the map? We'll see in round 2.
We certainly will. We're going to be going once again to the same site, Armory and Lockers. It's going to be up on the top floor, and we're going to, I think, probably have a fairly similar setup. We've got the mirror on side. Warden this time, no Doc. Maya swaps off onto the Azami. Probably still going to be in the same position, trying to hold down CCTV, but will, of course, have the keeper barricades this time in order to do so. That's been the sort of popular way that we've seen CCTV held on to so far through Six Invitational 2023, has been using the keeper barricades particularly. I think that wall has been left half soft as well on the west breach of Armory. If we can just have a little look, yes it has at the minute, which also makes it difficult to approach by placing the mirror on that side. If anybody, they get the long line of sight all the way down the balcony. If anybody tries to get near it, you can just peek out and spray through the soft wall.
Well, Maya digging in deeper as well, not playing on the duck this time on the Azami that we've seen banned away throughout most of the series. Spoke about how oppressive this operator has been on so many maps that we've seen across this first week. Not at all surprised to see it drawing a number of bans or just being picked in almost every possible available round. Lobin's the one trying to get a little bit cheeky here. He was caught out here almost last time round by Forest, and it feels like Astralis might have a bit of a sniff that he's in here once again. Forest is hunting him down, but he manages to get away and up the stairs, back out to safety into, well, I was going to say maybe the waiting arms of Maya, but just remembering I was saying he was on the Azami, not on the dock this time around.
Lobin just going to drop himself back into Fountain for the time being. Lobin's been so mobile. I'd love to see a heat map of Lobin. And
he stays busy, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And sort of, or, you know, like they do with sort of other sports sometimes, they'll show you the distance that a player has covered. Yeah. I'd like to see the distance that Lobin has covered, because I'm sure that it's probably massive at this point. Like you say, he's always there as that support fragger, we called him. You know, he's not playing support in any way really, but what he is doing is supporting everybody else on his team by going in and getting into fights with them. He never leaves anybody on their own in a gunfight. Dash is going to take down Lobin, and so that might just leave his teammates a little more alone as Spiff it is who manages to find Lobin. Iconic goes down in the mix there. Forest getting challenged underneath, but just managed to find Dash, and that's advantage Astralis.
Picking Lost One apart so far in these rounds. Lobin looking nowhere near as comfortable as what he has on the previous couple of maps, I think. Although they play an awful lot of board and maybe just too many angles exposing him here, and his risky playstyle to being shut down. Maya almost being taken out here too, down to 5 HP, but takes Spiff away in the process. And there it is. This is what I mean about the number of angles on this map are just insane. Like, so much can be opened up. Looks like once again Astralis are going to win.
I fall back to what I've often said about attacking here on border, or defending rather. If you want to defend successfully, the best way to do it, and it sounds sort of obvious, but the best way to do it is to keep the attackers out of the map, because once they get into it, like you say, there's so many different angles. J9O able to step in and get that final kill there, and Astralis are demonstrating that for us. There are so many angles that can be opened up once you get into the map. Almost every wall is soft. You know, you can just get long lines of sight right across the top floor of the map, and it just makes it so difficult for defenders once attackers are in the map. So you have to meet them at the doors, you have to meet them at the windows, you have to try and keep them on those balconies.
Yeah, Lobin's always been the player that, you know, would like to try and challenge early for the spawn peaks. Maya, I've always said, kind of plays just behind him. And then behind that, you'll often have Rise looking to bring up a slightly more supportive spot, but still willing to get involved in the mid-round gunfights. Here, honestly, it's been more Dash and Dots doing that. Those two kind of stepping away from playing the more supportive roles. We're used to seeing them on things like Mute and Smoke, and looking to stay busy around the map. Maybe another Lost One interesting strat coming out here. We had the cool setup coming out of Astralis with the mirror windows. We had Lost One rocking out the castle barricade set up inside a geisha on Skyscraper. Here they've got one of their own to deploy and see how well they can hold down this east side of the map.
going to be Bathroom and Tellers then. The thing is for Astralis, this is going to be fairly similar. It's going to be getting to the top floor, take control, sweep across, and then there's just a little bit on the end of getting themselves down into sight. So it's really the onus is on Lost One for what are they going to do differently, because the problem that they face is that they've got to hold on to top floor with fewer personnel than they did last time around, with Astralis sweeping across that top. So it's going to be very difficult for them. I think entry kill is going to be important. I'd like to see a bit more aggression coming out of Lost One. As I said, get up to those windows, get up to those doors. You know, I'm not talking necessarily spawn peaks, but get up there and just prevent them from getting into the building freely.
The thing is, I feel like Astralis aren't, you know, outpaced, like really rushing through this game either. It's the same as the SSG game earlier on against M80. M80 weren't like right up in SSG's face, but neither were they super passive. It was enough to, you know, be there and be present for a fight, but not enough that you were overextending and being punished for it. I feel like Astralis in these two attacks have been very, very similar. They haven't looked to meet Loben at every window and doorway that he's peeking on, but have looked to catch him when he's retreating back from that. So really their pace and the ability to catch these players have Lost One before they get back to safety, that's where a lot of these early rounds are being defined.
Spiff thinks about the nade, but then just drops back, puts it back in the pocket, gets the gun back out and continues the push forward. He's got Iconic in support as well. Dash is at the bottom. This is going to be a freebie. No, it's not. What a kill from Spiff there as he manages to find the headshot onto Dash. I thought for all the money that he was going to step into the line of sight and lose his life, but no, the Oryx taken down. Spiff continues that push on down the bottom. This is looking so good for Astralis right now. It's running away from Lost One quickly.
They're going to get one back as well, but Rise has at least got one here. Myra into a second, but Forrest steps in. He's going absolutely nuclear in these first few rounds. Myra left alone, finds one of the drop spins for a second, but can't find his man. Down to a slither of HP, J90 rounds it out. Astralis have got 3 rounds on the bat, Tim, and sure enough, there's a timeout being requested by Lost One.
No, I didn't know exactly where it was. You're fine.
Tá, Mara, presta atenção. Vocês estão jogando quieto sim. Vocês não estão estrefando, não tá pegando Intel. Pô, eu falei... Ô, Léo, deu capita, caralho. Bora levantar esses moleque, porra. Não quero você quieto não, caralho. Pô, acabou o round, conversa setup, guys. A gente falou hoje, mano. Pô, como agiram, como jogaram, como eles estão jogando. Tá continuando na leste? Pô, beleza, como a gente vai jogar em cima disso? Vocês não conversaram um setup, caralho. E já tá começando a comunicar. Ai, tá aqui, tá se matando. Bora, caralho, é o último mapa da porra do nosso som, caralho. Nada a perder, porra. Vamos, caralho. Bora, caralho. Bora, porra. Troca tiro com ele, até o final, caralho.
Deixa os caras entrar não, mano.
Mano, é o seguinte, a única que tá fazendo é a entrada da leste da porta, tipo, não sei. Se eles entrarem, dá pra frente.
That is so far the most animated that I've seen Norris and the Lost One boys during a tactical timeout, really knowing that their backs are to the wall here. You know, this is different than the TAC timeouts that they've had before. These are different to the ones that have come in group stages. These are about fighting for your life. You are 3-0 down. You are 4 rounds away from going home.
I've seen Norris quite animated a couple of times this week, but never really in kind of a intense fashion like we just saw there, right? Like, if we had like a translator, that would sound a lot like Fabian. I don't think he was full on losing his marbles in the same way that Fabian was a little bit towards G2 earlier, but it was very much a, look boys, we're better than this. You know, you're sitting there, you're being a little bit mopey, like, you know, no, none of that. High energy, that is where we thrive. Let's get it built back up again. Let's really put the drive in. I think even if you don't speak Portuguese, you can tell that, Tim.
Sometimes it's what's needed. You know, at the end of the day, they're all here with a common goal, and that is to win the title. That is to go all the way and win the hammer. You know, to lift the hammer at the end of all of this. And so, you know, sometimes, yeah, a fire does need lighting. You know, look at the turnaround for G2. They went on, they won the game, they then won the next game. They've saved themselves twice in the day in the lower bracket, and they are still fighting. And sometimes it does just take, you know, those words from a coach to fire a team up. We'll see whether that is the impact from Norris, but I am a little bit concerned that words might not be enough here, Des, because Astralis, they are looking great at the minute. If you're an NA fan, if you're an Astralis fan, you're going to be liking what you see on the attack of border.
I think it's mad just knowing that we only have 6 teams that can go through to playing at Plaspal on the weekend, you know. We had 16 teams at the start of today. We'll be down to 8 by the end of it, and 2 more go home tomorrow. And there are so many that I feel are really deserving of that chance to play in the arena as well, but just knowing that not every single one can is honestly insane.
That's tournaments. That is tournaments. We're going to have the nade going in from Iconic. Forest will actually be downed. He's going to be finished off as well, but the trade comes in. It was Dash that got the kill. Dots that gets taken out. Leaves us in a 4 versus 4. But
90.
look at this aggression coming along from Iconic. Manages to find the kill as well. Brilliant play from him.
Unbelievable step forward as well with real pace behind the EE1D. Looks for this trade but can't find Dash before he slips away. Now surely must know, and he does know, but Lobin's a little bit better. 3 versus 2 for Lost One. It looked to be going so well for Astralis, Tim.
A little bit of siege time in for Iconic there, I think. A second before, and he's got a clear shot into the back of Lobin, but unfortunately comes out the worse off in the merry-go-round around the metal detectors. Dash gets cut down though, and this brings us back to a 2v2, and there's a real opportunity for Astralis. Spiff taking a little bit of damage, needs to make sure he doesn't overcommit to that gunfight, maybe relocate, readjust, and see if he can find a better angle.
Such a wonderfully weird angle, this one as well, through Bleepers doing to small office. It's tight, but you can find a couple of shots through, as we almost saw Lobin losing a few butt cheeks on the way through there as well, down to half HP. Spiff finding those 1 or 2 shots, but nowhere near enough to finish him off.
Genano getting himself up onto the rappel, onto the balcony to push in and support. He's going to be drawn in for the time being. 45 seconds left to go, so there's no reason for Astralis to rush this. You know, if they can use that drone to just locate exactly where these 2 defenders are left playing, there could be a freebie from underneath, I think is what they're hoping. They've got the nades in hand, they've got the information. This might do the job just on the wrong side, and that might just force Lobin to move. It does indeed. Second won't do the job. It was a worthy effort. Lobin is low health now, and there is potentially an opportunity for a kill coming in here, but 20 seconds, they need to get moving.
They're so nervous about this pushing as well because they just know the long angles are being held by Lost One. They can't easily break them out of their hold inside of here. Here comes the step forward as J9O can get in behind the bomb chassis and get the plant down. It could have changed everything, but by the looks of it, Lost One are going to hold on. They're going to get themselves the first round in the game unless Spiff can pop off, but Lobin has dropped away. This one's done and dusted. Lost One are finally on the board.
Lobin knows exactly what he needs to do in that situation. Drop the hatch, even if he becomes, you know, finds himself in a 1v1 with diffuser going down, the time is such that as the Oryx, he can just jump back up through the hatch. It's not going to be an issue, so well played. It certainly, you know, was better from Lost One. Astralis still bringing that aggression. Iconic's push down 90 was impressive, really, but didn't quite get the job done for them.
Honestly, half a second difference, he gets that third kill.
It's all different, yeah.
Small office is there for Astralis, they're up 4-0 and suddenly things look like they're going from bad to worse for Lost One. So it's on that level of fine margin that we're talking between these 2 teams. I know still we've got Astralis in the lead, but for Lost One, that'll be a little bit of motivation to get them back on the train here and moving forwards.
Just opening up the rotation then from Fountain through into CCTV. The site is going to be ventilation and workshop this time around. And just looking at the lineup, we've got the castle on side from Lobin that we would expect for this site quite often. We've got a nice mirror window there, just looking all the way down 90 corridor with a little soft wall peak to the side of it as well. That's going to make it difficult. Rise bringing along the Warden. So an interesting lineup from Lost One. And I think they are set up to make things actually quite difficult for Astralis here. One thing they need to do is prevent access into bathroom. They can't let that mirror window in office get cleared out as easily as it did before.
This is another really interesting setup coming out from Lost One where, I mean, one, you've got a mirror window facing down towards east stairs. There is that castle barricade in the way right now, but I imagine they're expecting that to get blown out, only to reveal, surprise, there's the second layer you got to deal with. The one inside office is pretty good. Do you see nades coming in from rooftop? Absolutely not, because Astralis have got 12 breaching charges, Tim. Now, I'm all for breaching charges, but this feels a little bit excessive.
It certainly does. Spiff's going to be dumping the EMP to help open detention and then going to get up to the top. If anything needs breaching, Des. Astralis is certainly the ones to ask. Forest is going to pick up the opener onto Dash. That's good. It's one of the nitros gone. There was, of course, 3 nitros on the side of Lost One. That's going to be down to 2 now. And when you're trying to take control of top floor, that can be a very important point for you. It's another advantage for Astralis. And what I like is they're not necessarily chasing after these kills. They get one and they're not sort of desperate. There's a breaching charge, Des. I hope they don't run out.
1 of 12. 1 of 12.
We've got kills going in either direction. J9O picking up the latest one onto Lobin. There comes in another one for Iconic, 4 versus 2. Astralis' top floor clearances have just been great. They've got access into site as well. There's just nowhere that Lost One are safe at the minute.
No, absolutely not. That's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, you see his foot, you see the toe, you see the toe. Gets the spray and almost dies in response as well. Rise taking a shot back. The shuttle's still going. Maya brings at least one back to give the team hope, but with 3 still standing for the side of Astralis, it feels like this one might be a bit of a battle to win.
Especially when another is going to get cut down. It's all up to Maya inside of sight. 1 minute 10 left to go. Astralis do not need to rush this. They've got a few breaching charges left that they could start opening that ceiling up with. They could make this really uncomfortable for Maya inside of sight, to the point where Maya might actually have to dip out of sight and try to defend from elsewhere.
I mean, Shuttle here's the one with the diffuser. I imagine will want to try and plant inside of vents. They know they've got this west side control, and there's not really too much that Maya can do about a plant coming through there. Again, it's going to be 3 kills to his name and likely a diffuse coming in as Shuttle rounds out towards vents. No response to come in here. This should be an easy plan.
Yep, can just get in behind the bookcase on the left-hand side as he goes.
Oh no, what?
Maya finding an unreal shot across sight. Astralis almost letting it slip. Iconic manages to find him deep in workshop, but for a second there, Des, for a second, I'm sure the Lost One fans had their hearts in their mouths.
Iconic is really starting to turn it up this series. We mentioned at the start of the map, across Skyscraper, he started to warm into things. On Oregon, we saw him take it up a notch. Now we're really seeing him on fire on this map. 6 and 3 he moves up to, alongside J9O, currently sat on 8 and 1, bless him as well. Really big game coming out of those two. And Lost One got to start feeling the despair here. Now I imagine, Tim, they're down 4 and 1. Yes, they've got the attack still to come on board. It generally is an attacker-leaning map, but Astralis are dominating the attacking side of things. Doesn't really feel close.
It doesn't at the minute. Lost One may have got a round, but I don't even remember that round. You know, it's the honest truth of it. You know, Astralis are just so on top of it.
I mean, it felt like they should have won because it was the half a second round for Iconic in there.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's just not even that memorable in terms of a round that Lost One won. Astralis are just absolutely dominating right now, and as you say, Iconic's really starting to get rolling. 14 kills between him and J9O, particularly leading the team forward at the minute. A 5-1 half wouldn't surprise me, and if that's the case, as I keep saying, you get 5 on that first half, you only need to lock down one site.
Alrighty, let's see how this last defense goes for Lost One, because the rest of them haven't really gone particularly well. Got to pull something really out the bag here and cause a bit of an upset, I feel, to stop the Astralis train that has been running through them, namely in the form of Iconic. Once he gets going with a bit of assistance from a Lion Scam, for example, he really has been tearing through the other side.
Dash is just going to be playing in and around the balcony, looking to, you know, come in and out of break, just keep it fluid, I would imagine. Get up in the faces of Astralis. It's something that I think Lost One have tried to do. They've tried to play out to the boundaries of the map, like I suggested earlier, but they just haven't been successful in doing it. Astralis have been able to find, you know, kill after kill on the entry and just really be able to power their way into the map. They've done a great job at creating space, droning out, moving in there and using that information. They are going to spot the man. They've got the feet down at the bottom of East Stairs. This has happened before, and last time it did, Dash lost his life.
He did. Nade over the top from Forest, hoping to find someone tucked in the other side. I think there was one out towards Fountain, who's just backed away. Chasing shadows a little bit here. It is Maya, who's waiting, ready and waiting to receive almost and get into a gunfight. But that call is coming in from J9O, which makes his presence very, very clear to the attackers. And could make this uncomfortable.
A bit of damage done to Forest along the way there, not very much. I think it was just a breath of toxic gas. So he's just going to step away from that and we'll be absolutely fine. Maya is a little bit of a problem inside Fountain right now, but that's likely going to be dealt with as the Selma charges go off. Yes, Maya will drop away, so top floor control is Astralis as Spiff manages to find Lobin as he just leaves himself out in the cold, and that's 5 versus 4, and Astralis once again feel like they're on the warpath.
This is the thing, I saw Maya drop away and thought, okay, Lobin will follow as well. There's no reason why Akaid stays here when a line of sight all the way through to CC is being opened up, but he stays put and gets killed for it. A little bit greedy there and probably trying to find the firefight. I know that he likes being aggressive, he likes being mobile, but there is a point where you say, look, we're losing out on the roam here. Let's drop back. Let's try and sit behind more utility on site and make things happen. I'm not saying it's going to cost the team the round. I expect them to lose it, to be honest with you. It wasn't the reason why they're going to lose it, but it does not help things at all.
No, it certainly doesn't. Spiff is in a position to potentially drop down into sight. He's going to send a drone in for the time being. How are Lost One not picking up on these drones? They're coming down, they're not shooting them out, they are ready for the fight, but in comes a second. Spiff manages to get that one. They don't have Diffuser in hand at the minute. It's 3 versus 2. Lost One are holding on pretty well as Rise manages to get one. 2v2. Top floor has been retaken. Could be a big problem.
That retake on the top floor is everything because Spiff is now stuck on the downstairs. Unless he kills the player upstairs and goes for the next, it simply is not going to happen. It's all fell apart. They've been hit on the flank here and Lost One, whether by hook or by crook, have got themselves up to 2 rounds in the half. Now they've got to show us what they can do on the attack.
We would expect, as I've said, it's reasonably even here at SI, but generally speaking, the attackers do have a little bit of an advantage on border. Astralis taking the 4-2 half that they will have deemed a minimum, but I think they might be kicking themselves coming away from that. Whether they win or lose this, you know, I don't mean in those terms, I mean just they might have expected more out of the 6 rounds that they've had. They will know that there was an opportunity for at least a 5-1 there.
Massively so. Just again being caught on the side swipe, not ideal for them. And equally really close to potentially that being a 6-0 half when you think about it and dial it all the way back in. But nope, Lost One have a little bit, just a slither of breathing room. Astralis could turn out and be absolutely incredible in these defenses, playing behind the mirror, for example, in the Azami, and just completely shut Lost One out. And this could be done 6-2. We said coming in it would be really hard to call which way the game would go. Not too surprised Astralis done well on the attack. You would expect that from most teams on border. I'm just not 100% sure based on how a lot of these gunfights have gone as whether or not Lost One can battle their way back in.
Going to have the lines of sight opened up into the break room wall. That allows pressure to be applied to that area from office. Just really gives those longer lines of sight. It's going to be interesting to see the differences here between the Lost One defense and the Astralis defense. Going to have the Banshee just placed outside by J9O. That will give some early warning. It will also make it difficult to approach the mirror window, which has been played on that wall. Of course, you can run up, you can smash it with a melee hit from the outside, but by getting caught in that Banshee, it makes it a lot more treacherous to do so.
The Banshee's really interesting. I've seen Evil Eyes put outside before. I've seen Bandit Wires put outside before. I don't think I've seen a Banshee out there before, though. That's a little bit of a new one. Here, trying to get rid of the mirror window. Should have the cover to be able to get these off the wall because the Azami right now is completely unchallenged, able to spray these off the wall. And I think by the looks of it, Lost One have not cottoned on. I was going to say maybe after the second time they cottoned on to what was happening. No, they hadn't. And now they've got no hard breach left.
They've just thrown all 3 at the wall.
And every single one has been shut off. How weird. They'll be kicking themselves for that later.
I'm baffled. You know, at the point where 2 have gone, you know...
Maybe you stop.
You must know that somebody's shooting them off, and you think, where are they getting shot off from? You don't think it's electricity. You can see with your eyes that it's not. Very strange from Lost One. They are going to try to push in towards break. J9O just sending an impact nade out there. He's going to come under some pressure if he's not careful, definitely. Needs to make sure he's not over-committing here. They want to be holding on to this position for as long as possible, because he is, of course, supporting the Azami of Iconic as well. But Lost One, they're going to have to find a way into sight that does not rely on hard breach.
Just heard a mirror window taken out as well, so Dots, I imagine, getting to work on those shock drones. For a while, J9O might actually get into a fight, but no, for now at least he has eluded that one, keeping himself quite safe, not going over-aggressive on the peaks on towards that south balcony, but has to be careful about pressure building up all around him. Lost One still trying to figure their way through this setup as well, with only 60 seconds or so left on the clock. It's looking a little bit ropey, Tim.
Certainly is. There's still that battle going on break door. Somebody's going to have to take a move, and it's going to have to be the attacker. It ultimately is. Rise steps forward. J9O manages to get the kill. Dots gets one onto Forest. And we find ourselves with Lost One pushing in, getting aggressive and getting kills here. 4 versus 2. All of a sudden, Iconic moves back into sight, gets one. Can he find himself any more? He's going to need to. It's 3 versus 2. What a shot from J9O. It looked like Iconic for a second, but it wasn't. But they've somehow leveled it up. Diffuser is in Maya's hands, but, oh, just looking away at the wrong time there. J9O Iconic shut down by Dash, and that is unfortunate for Astralis. They fought back hard in the middle of the round there, but were just unable to get it done.
It's one of those big rounds as well, because 1, it sets the tone for the second half. 2, it keeps the round difference to just the 1. If Astralis had won there, we'd be sat at 5-2. That would be a long hill to climb for Lost One to have any chance of battling things back in, staring down the barrel of a very unfortunate scoreline. But here, they give themselves every opportunity to drag us closer and closer towards overtime, if not a win.
Well, let's continue, shall we? We're going to head down to Ventilation and Workshop this time around for Astralis' next site. Again, they're going to have to hold on to that top floor, and Lost One, I'm impressed. I didn't think that was going to happen for Lost One, I'll be honest. You know, after they threw 3 Selma charges onto the wall, having each one shot off, they had no hard breach option, couldn't get themselves into break room. I just didn't see it going like that. But, you know, like you say, by hook or crook, they managed to get that job done. And it was impressive. They just went in and won gunfights. And the thing is, I think that's something that Lost One could do a little bit more. Be aggressive and rely on the gun skill. Lorbin, Maya particularly, we know they've got it. You know, go in and get those kills. We've seen Dash have big games as well. Get it done. Just go in and take the fights.
I can't wait to see those cap cans catch someone in the middle of this round. I can just see it coming when Lobin, for example, is locked in on charging his way through. The only saving grace, looking at it, might well be the IQ being brought along. It's rare that you see this being brought in, unless we have a Valkyrie on side, which of course is banned, or in some rare cases, Echo Yokais, but definitely less so lately. Forest wants out of this window. He's ready and waiting. He's waiting for the repel sound to come through, but this window's going to get sprayed out, and that's the dead giveaway that someone was looking to cause trouble.
Dots is applying pressure from the upside down repel. And he can't send the drone in. The multi-pass is going to stop it. How about that for an opener though? Spiff's going to take down Lobin, and that's a big start. The Warden inside of sight. I'm not sure exactly where Lobin was pushing there to expose himself to a position inside of Workshop. Must have been trying to, we've seen it a few times from Lost One, just trying to walk into sight essentially. Yeah, he was just outside. I'm not sure. That must have been aggressive from Spiff though. He must have stepped up towards the front door.
It might be the Arna's like fell over though, and also taking the death meter down with her a little bit, of the death icon down a few. Probably was on the front door. This is a challenge though. Swung out from the server, looked towards front door, found the kill, and then back inside.
Drones will continue across, going to be taken out. How many are left? Only 2 drones left on the side of Lost One, Des. And there's not even a Solis on the side of Astralis. That is a big loss of information, especially with the Iana gone as well. You can't rely on those Gemini decoys to go in and feed the information back for you. That could be a big problem for Lost One as this continues.
There is a mutant Mozzie. Good bit of team play between Rise and Maya here as well, just forcing J90 back into the line of sight for Rise, who could not fight both angles at the same time. And they get one down. Do they know about this player sat inside of office though? Because Forest, he is ratting out for all he's worth right now. And in comes the round, but Dots finds the shot. Down he goes, 4v3 for Lost One.
Dots continues moving around, everything having to be face checked here. You can see it as they go across, looking for the cap cans, looking for the men, looking for absolutely everything in front of them. Iconic's going to stick around for the time being, gets a challenge. Surely now is the time to drop the hatch. Yes, goes down along with the flashbang, but Shuttle, he's not so lucky, doesn't manage to get away. And this looks like things could be leveled up here. It's down to Spiff and Iconic inside of sight, and they've got an age to hold on.
They do. I mean, Lost One here with 40 seconds on the clock must know that there are 2 players inside. Dots is in. Surely he saw his head behind these server racks. He must have seen him. Can't have missed it. He's got the right sort of idea, but nothing with which to push him. Must be calling for help at this point, but doesn't know which side he's on. Left side over towards the right, but there comes the assist that he needs. It's a closeout for Lost One and Tim. They've drawn us all square.
We've got the game that we wanted. I was a little bit worried at the beginning of this one that Astralis were just going to run away from it and it'd be a 7-2, a 7-1, and that would be the end of it. But no, it's time for Astralis and a tactical timeout.
Because right now we're getting all the picks and they're so fucking slow. So our little less than we so I don't come here and then Brox, listen, the next hold on, listen to the army as well. Don't reinforce it. It's almost one to reinforce the first.
Where should we go right here?
I think we should go back down to wearing that out and that quality as well. Like I said, that's an issue. I think he's adjacent, so playing scared.
Can we let's talk about that. I can drop the bandit and bring meat instead.
No.
I'll do bandit.
I'm keeping Warden.
Heard.
I'm doing the same like Hyper Shield.
Should I take the Melusi or ADS?
Well, a lot of strategic discussion going on there, down to the fine details, you know, of what should be happening in the next couple of rounds. Still pretty low-key as we see the majority of Astralis' tac timeouts, to be fair. That's nothing unusual. And nothing wrong with it as well. You know, sometimes the style will be to fire up. Sometimes, you know, that's just not how the coach works. And they're in a 4v4. They don't necessarily need to overdo it on the energy here. You know, if they get themselves pumped up too much, start throwing themselves out of windows, peeking, you it could become a problem of its own for them. So they need to play this with a level head.
Well, that conversation of slowing down is definitely really, really valid there, I think. But either way you look at it, Lost One currently are overwhelming Astralis on the attacking side of things here. It's at that 4-on-4, and given how the attacking half went for Astralis first time round, I would give a lean towards Lost One unless Astralis can find an answer here and now. Not forgetting, Tim, they only need to find 2 sites in their favour. They're trying this top floor again, moving away from Benson Workshop, not trying either of the off sites just yet, but may well find ourselves coming across to that if this round goes the way of Astralis.
Reinforcement going to be made inside of office, potentially a mirror window to go there. I don't think it's been placed yet. We'll see if one goes up or not. No, it's going to be placed inside of fountain instead. So that's just, again, it's doing the same job. It's just preventing that push coming into office. A pretty secure location. It can't be shot from underneath. It's one of the few hard floor areas in border is fountain, so there is some security there. Lost One looking maybe to keep this aggressive. 40 seconds in, looking to get inside a break door already and just take the fight to Astralis, but they need to be careful because Iconic's in there and he's been hitting a few shots so far.
For sure. Looking at the Ostra in this round, though, from Dots, and for me, that's the big change that indicates a change in approach coming out from Lost One. Looking to play really heavily for the objective, and direct to sight through this wall tends to be one of the go-to angles. Either that, or you look for a plant inside of Archives. For that, though, you need quite a lot of cover, and given they have no smokes on side, I'm thinking probably it's get inside of site itself by going into the wall that we just saw a second ago, rather than worrying about anything else.
Oh, that's unfortunate timing for Forest. Tries to deploy the Nitro, steps out and gets found out by the man at the top of East Stairs, who is exactly who he was probably looking for with the Nitro. Iconic's going to take a little bit of damage as well, deploying Kiba barricades, trying to keep himself in position, but this is looking pretty good for Lost One right now. They're starting to run over Astralis. The opportunity is there, yes. Rise manages to find Iconic, 5 versus 3.
Oh, almost a shot coming in, but Maya gets away with it first, finds the kill. That tactical timeout, apparently not doing all that much. Spiff gets one back, but it feels like a fool's errand, and a fool's errand it proves to be. Lost One are in the lead. 3 rounds back to back, Tim.
They are starting to just gather momentum at exactly the right time here. And it's Astralis that are certainly backs to the wall now. 5-4 down. Lost One looking for 2 more rounds. That is all they need to push themselves forward here at SI and into a matchup tomorrow to keep themselves in the tournament. Astralis, of course, if they lose, or whoever does lose, will be going home at this point. Astralis, they're going to take us to bathroom and tell us there's a lot of changing of sights here, Des. It just feels like there's maybe a little bit of a lack of confidence coming in.
Well, we've seen upstairs twice, we've had Vents Workshop, now we're trying the off-site in towards bathroom and tellers. And although it's declared as the off-site, a lot of teams actually do have quite a bit of success here. The most interesting rounds on this map, for me at least, have come in on this site itself. All kinds of interesting defenses. It normally involves a big fight over the top floor in the first place as well. And it looks like we're going to get some of the same coming in here once again. The castle on side, almost a staple for this site too, to really help lock down the top floor. Just trying to detract the attackers coming in from the west side. One operator team that I was thinking this earlier, and I haven't really seen him much since Doc's buff, but Thunderbird coming out here for Spiff.
Yeah, it's one that we don't see very much at all, is Thunderbird. Of course, has
He did get nerfed a few times, to be fair.
Yeah, has the gadgets that we sort of lovingly nickname the Salvation Stations. They just juice you back up if you're low health. They won't overheal people. If you are downed and you can get near one as well, you're able to get picked up by it. So pretty powerful for defenders, particularly playing inside a site. It can be difficult to use them out on the roam consistently because, of course, they also heal the attackers. Yes. So you don't want to be putting them in positions whereby...
So wherever they put them, Tim, all upstairs, where the attackers can take control and then make use of them.
Little bit of a problem. You can take them out as you go with you. You know, if you know you're going to be giving up an area, you can take them down. But yeah, there certainly is a risk there, especially for somebody like Lobin, who's now lower health and could well get healed back up if the opportunity presents.
Quite fancy himself. Well, I remember before when they used to heal you even when you're at full HP and give you that overheal.
Yeah.
They basically really juiced defenders up so they could take more gunfights with extra HP and really actually kind of balance the field against attackers, but it got a little bit oppressive. Forest versus 1 here, it starts, and guess what? He's got the diffuser, Tim.
That's a big kill. Forrest was well aware of his position. I can only assume that there you go. So as Forrest falls back out of an area, as I suggested, they'll take out the gadgets as they go. Obviously, the risk being, if they get forced out of an area too quickly, they might not have the opportunity to do it. But so far, they've been fine with it. So the plan works. It keeps them, you know, able to take those fights confidently. It looks like Spiff's going to be coming up on the back of somebody here. No, it was a free opportunity. Almost misses it, but still manages to find that kill with the spear. That's Dash going down. Now 5 versus 2 as Forrest gets one, J9O gets one, and this is the turnaround they were looking for after the tactical timeout. Maya, he manages to find Iconic, but surely it's going to be a meaningless kill at this point. It's going to be nothing more than stat padding as Spiff is sat there waiting, has a look, gets the kill, and that is going to be the Thunderbird that we said isn't played too often, but certainly did a great job in that round.
Listen, all right, let's go.
Cheekiness in the early round as well, I feel, getting some of the kills coming out, just slowing down the side of Lost One, disrupting the game plan, I think was number one. The diffuser being down outside the balcony really didn't help, but I feel a few too many backstabs coming in there really for Lost One. Just letting them get away with absolute murder, no punishment, no flank drones on the go really. So it was well played by Australis to find those opportunities, but Tim, we're guaranteed to see all 12 rounds of regulation here. Maybe, dare I even say, third map overtime on the way.
You know where it's going.
I know where it's going.
I know where it's going.
We all know where it's going.
Everybody knows exactly where this is going.
I've got a point if we get to overtime, Tim.
Have you?
Yep.
So I can't. I'll avoid delivering the line then, Des.
Oh, but you can say it.
I'll
It's just got to come at the end of the poem.
All right. Okay. I'll jump in at the end then. Right. Okay. You've queued me up. We're ready. We've got a couple of rounds to go before we get there, though. One of these teams is going to get an opportunity to win this inside of 12. That team is going to be whoever wins this round. It is Australis on the defence, and at the minute, I can tell you we have only had out of 10 rounds 3 defensive wins. Currently, defence has a 30% win rate on this map, and it is Australis who are on the difficult end of that, because they're the ones who don't have a choice. They've got to find at least one round in the next 2.
What I found weird was during their time out, they were saying, you know, just calm it down a bit, slow it down a little bit, but then they've actually gone a little bit more kind of to the wire in that last round in trying to get aggressive and moving aggressively onto Lost One. So sometimes clearly different opportunities present themselves, different things open up in the round, and you see that ability to really drag yourself ahead. Let's see then, because Lobin, I was going to say just a second ago, was a player that has been really quiet this game. We saw him fight quite a bit in the first map. We saw him do all right in the second. We've seen him throughout this week be a really big player for the team, where Maya has been quiet. But those roles have kind of changed, and for Lost One, it's kind of a shame that you're not going to see the 2 players coming online in a series at the same time.
Rise is going to join Lobin up on the balcony. The focus at the minute seems to be, once again, getting in towards Break and CCTV. It's been a hotly contested area, as you would expect on Border. This has been certainly no different to the usual expectation. We're going to have Archives Wall getting opened up. Nitro comes out over the top, and it almost gets Dots. He just manages to evade it. He's down to about 20 HP, though, and he's going to need to be careful on this push through. Also needs to be aware that he's got Diffuser in hand, so he needs to make sure he's not dying in no man's land.
It's one of the mirror windows being taken out behind Forrest, I think that was. IQ once again coming in for Lost One, it's worth mentioning. Again, we haven't seen the Valkyrie because it's banned away, but they have run it in quite a few of these rounds to help sniff out the Electro Claws, for example, or potentially to get eyes onto Iconic once he pops those specs on. Here we go, those 2 players. Well, it's actually 2 players sat inside a fountain, but it was just the one. Sorry, it's Dash to walk in and get the entry. Spiff finding Lobin, 3 and 9 in the game. Needs to make himself heard, but Rise steps up big. 4v3 for Lost One.
Both teams are so alive at the minute. They are absolutely ready and up for this fight. Shuttle is on an unlikely flank here with the mirror. He's got himself back upstairs, but needs to be careful because he will be loud when he moves, and I think that they are well aware. They go in for the kill. Shuttle somehow manages to get one and drop away. Gets away with his life. That's a steal for Australis.
No trade coming in for Lost One. Balances the books back out into a 3 versus 3. Really hard to call in these last 30 seconds which way it's going, but based on the fact that clock's running down towards 0 and the HP bars, you give it towards Australis, Tim.
You certainly would. Spiff's going to take half health damage there, and that's going to leave him down at about 50, but it doesn't stop him from finding a kill as Dots tries to drop into sight, and it's looking at the minute like it could be Australis taking this. 15 seconds left to go. This army of J9O taking a lot of damage there. They're having to rush, and they're getting punished for it. And there is their punishment. Australis finding round 11 and giving themselves the map and series point opportunity.
Such a big round from Spiff as well. A 4K to close things up and move them up to, as you say, Tim, match and series points. Lost One have had a good half here on the attack. They've got to get one more over the finish line to send it into overtime, and then God knows what comes next.
Honestly, those last 3 rounds are going to be an absolute war if that's what it comes down to. That gives us our 4th successful defense here on Border, and Astralis need one more, but they've got what you would consider to be one of the strongest sites in order to do so. The only problem is they've already tried it twice. Round 7, round 9, both unsuccessfully.
Third time lucky?
Third time's a charm.
I'm just trying to find out who starts on which side.
Astralis are certainly going to be hoping that the Saiyans are in their favour, at least, that it will be third time lucky, but Lost One are certainly going to be doing everything they can. Hit us with the info, Des.
Lost One starting attacking overtime.
Definitely an advantage.
Just a bit. If we get there, Astralis could absolutely pull it out the bag here. I know Spiff have really gassed up throughout the series, and he's impressed this week. I think we said back on day 2, I want to say, we cast Astralis for the first time. We were really impressed by him. Really has fit into the roster well. Sean showing what he can do. 14-8 so far in this game, shining and dragging his team through when they needed to the most. They want it done here and now. They don't want to go to those final 3 rounds that, as much as we love as casters and as neutrals, as viewers and onlookers, it's a heart-in-mouth moment for the players that are in the server.
Dots is going to open up the top of East stairs before switching his attention. Ooh, that's not ideal. You always hate it when a drone bounces back like that. It's wasting 10-15 seconds as you have to get off the rappel, back on the rappel. You got to throw it again. Let's hope he gets it right. This time it is. He's going to send it in through office window. They need to know exactly what they're facing up, but it certainly looks like the attacking push at the minute is squaring up for an archives
window
take.
again. That mirror window once again on the sandwich wall is just going to cause a bit of frustration, I think, on towards the east stairs. You can just get swung from it so easy when they've got all this visibility. So the question is, where else are they going to face things down? They clear this player out of sandwich. They're in a great spot. He gets a kill or 2. It's basically game over.
Yep, exactly that. The difficulty is they're limited on the hard breach, so they can't necessarily, if they had a Hibana maybe, they could go underneath, open the hatch, they could use a nade, you know, to deal with that position, but it's not something they're going to be able to do. They've had to work around it.
It's got Maya as well.
Manages to get Maya. There's a second. J901 to Dots, and it's looking like it could be over for Lost One. It's 4 versus 2, 3 versus 2 as the LATAM team managed to fight back. We're only halfway through the round, Des, but we've had at least more than half of the action.
2v3, it's looking dire at this point. They fought so well in the first few attacking rounds, but Astralis have warmed into their defenses. Gunfight's not going the way required. A quick hop outside there as well as he passes from CC back in towards site. Shuttle, though, has got the side swipe. Do they know about the player? Dash finds one. Shuttle gives himself away. Lobin, what a round to make yourself known. Shuttle's left in a 1v2. We've criticised him. We've criticised them all, but Lost One send us into overtime.
They really do, and what better way to end this matchup? Both teams have had their moments, Des. I can see you're itching. Hit me with it.
Roses are red. This game is sublime. In fact, it's so good, we're going to overtime. That's what I wanted to hear. Astralis looking a little bit lost there. They know that that was their round to win. They had the 3 versus 2. They'd done everything right, but it just all falls apart at the wrong moment. And I feel bad isolating one player, but Shuttle was in such a good position. He panicked when he saw Dash come on his screen. He took a couple of shots. He backed away towards 90 and left his 2 teammates out to dry in a 2 versus 2 that they lost. And they found themselves here, again on the defense. They're choosing to go to Bathroom and Tellers first. Lost One has said, get that attacker's advantage.
Bathroom and Tellers was the first defensive site won by Astralis. It was back in round 10 that they were able to get that done. They actually managed to do it against the entry kill as well. Dots picked up the entry kill in that round, and they were still got the round 1 4v5. So it it tells you exactly why they've got confidence in being able to lock this down now. We are basically, Des, into a best-of-3 slugfest. The last 2.5 hours all comes down to this. We've had Lost One win on Skyscraper, we had Astralis win on Oregon, and now the best over the next 3 rounds here on Border will continue in the 6th Invitational 2023.
It's unbelievable to kind of comprehend that a couple of minutes of playing it sounds weird, a couple of minutes of playing a video game to determine whether or not you're staying here to go on a stage in front of thousands of fans to compete for that big title, or if you're on a plane home tomorrow. That's the level it's coming down to. Whew. I don't know which way it goes, Tim. It's exciting though. I've missed this feeling.
This is why every single one of us loves esports and loves this tournament as much as we do, because it creates moments just like this. Rise, straight in, looking to get that wall open in break room. I don't know if Spiff can get that cleared off. Yes. No, he can't. It's too low. He's not going to be able to do it. There's going to be a line of sight through into 90 corridor. That just makes things a little bit perilous for Astralis. It depends, though, if Lost One are able to hold that angle or whether they need the manpower elsewhere.
I'm not at all going to say he's going to try and hit the kill record here, because in 3 rounds I doubt he can, but Maya is 39-20 across this series. And Lobin, he has really quiet before that last round. What he was, 3-9? Found himself 3 kills in succession here, just when his team needed him most. We were talking about the same for Spiff on the other side, turning up absolutely huge when his team needed him. But you've got now a counterpart on the other side that's doing exactly the same. I say that, he hits the deck after Lobin finds one. Forest pushes up and finishes at least one off, and Lobin is on the deck, but not out of this round yet. There's a second one coming in, a shuttle gets that complete. 3 versus 3, Tim. We've been here before.
3 versus 3, but Astralis do still have a top floor presence. There's one inside of office at the minute. They're still pushing on east stairs as well. So there we go. It's J9 in office. I'm not sure they would.
They know.
I don't.
Hello there.
Ooh, the Gemini claw maybe just sees him over the top there, so he's going to drop himself away. Probably a smart move. Doesn't want to be giving up anything for free.
Yeah, back on site. 2 of them here as well have really dug themselves, and you've got the third lurking out towards the bottom of main stairs. It's Shuttle. The other 3 looking at least in towards sight. 35 seconds to play, and you can see them just like circling like vultures here, waiting for the invitation, but J90 finds dots. That's the kind of reverse kill that you want. You've now got Rise to the window, looking for a challenge himself. We've got one inside of sight. It's Maya in. He's got to win the 1 versus 1. Of course he does. They've got the cross cover, but J90 finds one. Maya has to win this 1 versus 2, and he does not have vertical control.
He does not. It's been retaken by Astralis. They can play onto the hatch. They've got the wall open. It's going to be very difficult for him to find a plant spot. Look at the cover behind the bomb chassis of the castle of J90. He's going in for the kill. He's got an opportunity to put this down. I'm not sure that there's going to be a vertical angle. Forest is moving across. Can he find him? Yes. He has to stay on the
There we go.
Forest plays that absolutely beautifully and closes out that first defensive round. And we thought the overtime might just go to the attackers there.
Well, there's still another one to come, one for either side to come in yet. Astralis with the golden chance to close things out here. It is now or never for the side of Lost One. Astralis at least have a second swing of the bat if they need it in the next round, but we've got to get to that point first. Another one of those rounds that started out well. Lobin with a great entry kill coming in to make it his 3rd in a row, but a lot of the work was done over towards east stairs. Forest especially being a little bit of a demon and making himself known right up until that very final kill that won his team the round.
It's going to be Armory and Archives for Lost One. Let's remind ourselves of how that went previously. They tried it 3 times on their defense. They won it only once. It's not going to be an easy sight for them to hold down. Astralis obviously showing an ability to attack here. There's going to be some key areas. We know that Lost One are going to try to hold on to CCTV. That's where we've seen Maya play consistently. Brought the dock along again. That is exactly what it was before. Astralis actually dealt with that pretty well. So it'd be interesting to see whether there's any further support. Got Lobin on the Oryx, is usually the one to be dashing around and trying to just provide that sort of on-the-spot assistance.
Whew, okay. Can Astralis force their way through? Looking back at that first half, Tim, it was 4-2 to them on the attacking side. The 2 rounds they lost, we even sat here and said, you know, with one small difference in those rounds, you know, Iconic getting the kill inside of small office, it would have been a 6-0 half. Here we are in overtime. I'm sure they've got confidence brimming here, knowing how that first half went down and believing that they should have had this in the bag already. Astralis just praying that the nerves don't feed through here and stop them doing what they've done so well so far in this series.
Forest going to be heading, it looks like, possibly up onto Archives window. It was a different silhouette that I could see just behind. I'll calm down. I'm just on edge, Des. I'm on edge as much as I'm sure these players are. They're going to get break room wall open. That's going to give the line of sight from break room door through to metal detectors. Maya, however, is, as I said, as the dock in behind those CCTV monitors, going to be holding his position, probably playing his life there. So it's definitely something that Astralis will have to clear out. Well, I say that. If they just push in towards Archives and Office, they might be able to get away with not doing it.
I mean, Iconic's trusty drone taken out there as well, which is really enabling him to start putting over pressure into East Stairs. Has been taken away. Out comes one of the first EE1Ds. Maya starting things off here as well. Money in the bank. Can he find another one as well? Dash being pressured in from two sides here. He's got to be careful. Drops away at what I can only guess is the perfect time as he was getting pushed from the south as well.
As I suggested, Maya did really need to be dealt with, and that's not going to be great. It was, I think, somebody hopping in through the window that lost their life to him. And the thing is, as the Doc can just juice himself back up, which he has done, it doesn't matter what damage he took in the fight, and he will continue holding his position in CCTV. 1 minute 10, and this feels again like it's at the advantage of the defenders.
It is. I mean, looking at Dash here on half HP and thinking if he gets towards Maya, then surely there's a bit of juice waiting for him there on the way through. Not that it feels necessary, as they have got that man advantage. 3 C4s still to play behind as well. And it feels like Astralis has stalled out a little bit here, just waiting for the defenders to make a move. But no one wants to do anything. Lost One playing quite passive here and just saying, if you want it, boys, you got to come get it.
Exactly that, just inviting them in, wanting them to play into their angles. The E1D does go off as Shuttle tries to get in.
Second as well.
Story's taken down. This is all up to a bit of a Hail Mary play here as Forest just dives inside a site and starts looking for kills. But Lobin takes down J90, and with 25 seconds left to go, it's very unlikely. I think that Forest turns this around. He manages to find one. He's downed another. It's 1v2. 20 seconds left to go, Des.
Lobin and Dots as well. 2 players that have really warmed into the game. Dots maybe a little bit less so, but he's got to find them both with 15 seconds on the clock. It feels like a tall order, an impossible task. He doesn't even have the diffuser, so he's got to go for kills. Sees one, loses a bit of HP, but the mirror has dipped away. Dots is hightailing it, wants to keep himself alive, does just that. Tim, roses are red. Kaid's hair is grey. We started in overtime, now we're going all the way!
I don't know if they're snappy enough, Des.
No,
we are going all
they are left on the 14th of February, I think.
We are going all the way to 15, and honestly, I just think, yeah, at this point, this is what this game deserves. You know, we've been critical of both teams in even measure. We've praised both teams in even measure. They have been, for all intents and purposes, equal all the way through, and it comes down to this one final round. I did promise Easy beforehand that he would see all 15 rounds, and you are welcome.
I'm sure he wanted nothing more at 9:30 at night to be sat observing Siege. What else could you want to be doing with your Tuesday night, Tim?
Watching this.
Exactly, that's all it's all about. Right, so we're going into Vents and Workshop for this one. Now, it's been a precarious site. If you look at how the overtime has gone here, we've had the 2 wins, of course, coming in upstairs on the Armory Archive sites, which means really it was bathroom tellers or it was coming into here. So, sorry, we had bathroom tellers trying the first time round, so actually they've avoided the upstairs team entirely and just chose to go for another offsite here. I think it was a bit scrappy from Lost One last time. We had Dots dropping down the hatch and being taken out without firing a single shot, which was a little bit weird. So I think it's not a bad pick from Astralis.
It's the second site that they won. Ultimately, they won bathroom tellers and then they won ventilation workshop on the back of it. They're now going to have to repeat that.
They tried Archives Armory 3 times and didn't win it once.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just not going to choose to go there. We're going to have Forest just launching an impact nade out of the window there. Not going to do any... Oh, it wasn't the one that hit Maya, surely. That's a lot of damage. If Easy in my ear tells me that it was an impact nade that hit Maya. And that is an arm that Forest has got on him.
An arm and a lot of the arms is taken away from Maya by the looks of potentially both of them. 60 HP, a direct hit.
That's fantastic.
That's a lot to be chipped away. It does put down, again, the player that has been flying through this series down to just about 40 hit points. 1 or 2 bullets could be enough depending on the gun that gets headed his way.
Sometimes we get games, Des, and I feel when we get to round 15, this sensation as every second passes by that I don't want it to be over, and this is one of those games. That's how good it has been. It has been absolutely fantastic, so enjoyable. One of the best games of the tournament so far, I think, in parts. Maya is going to be on the drone, sending it in through 90 corridor. The push is going to have to come from Lost One soon. They need to get moving, because otherwise they're just going to find themselves constantly playing into replaced utility, into moving manpower. They're not going to be able to nail anything down. It's 1 minute 30. You've had your information phase. You've got your drones in there. You've seen where everybody is. Now you've got to try and move them.
Iconic's really dug in and kind of invited, actually, the attackers to come in here by putting 2 of the keeper barriers inside a break room, stacked up towards the right. It gives Rise a little bit of cover on the march through. Forest gets first blood. Dots goes down. It's Maya second.
That is an absolutely huge double to kick things off for Astralis, but the kills keep rolling, Des, and it's 2 versus 3. Lost One. They've got themselves back into it. Shuttle, he's going to be watching for the drop. He's just holding on, but they've moved back away. They're switching it up here, Lost One. They're not going to be dropping. They're heading down metal stairs instead, but there is one off to the left. They know that they go.
Oh, he sees him.
The timing. He knows that he's inside of detention and storage, but what does he do? They're going to have to take time. J90 is just trying to burn off as much time as he can here, play his life. Dash is thinking about heading in towards site, but he needs to take out the utility before he does.
He's got to find these kills as well. These 1v1s that are lining up are so critical. Lobin hunts down J90. Shuttle and Forest. A C4 in back pocket. It could be the one of destiny, or it can be the one of disaster. Round of the corner, misses the man to his right, and they've won it out! Astralis move through to the next round.
Lost One's dreams are ended on border. They will exit the tournament, and Astralis live to fight another day. Both teams absolutely laying everything on the